Who does Mr. Beast call when he needs something engineered for one of his biggest videos?
Geerling Engineering.
Not actually. He called Network Chuck, and Network Chuck called us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I got the call on March 1st, and immediately I knew I couldn't do it alone. This is the story of my dad and I teaming up with Network Chuck to get 100 little computers, wired up to 300 buttons, and 600 LED strips for a Mr. Beast video in less than 2 weeks.
What would you say if I said, hey, would you like to come with me, possibly?
I would not mind going along, for the ride. And I might even be of help.
We're on the night before Chuck is going to come over and bring all the potatoes. So my dad and I set up all of these toolkits that we're going to be bringing around to each room with all the right tools. We found out inside of all these little boxes there's a bunch of sawdust, so we're going to try to get that out of there before we put in the potatoes. Sawdust and computers don't always work together that well. I was working on the plane on automating the server deployment, but the next goal is to get the servers up and running, get them deployed, and that way when we start doing the rooms, it'll just start sending the data right into the server. Hopefully no problem at all. We did notice that there's no network switches set up, so I guess Network Chuck is going to set up the network switches.
But he does have a lot of wire.
Yeah, okay. There's plenty of wire down there that we're going to be wiring in. I'm sure that'll be happening overnight and tomorrow. The last bits of carpet are going up back here. We're doing a couple of the rooms.
I got the MrBeast Crunch Bar, milk chocolate, puffed rice, and I told you I thought this guy was into food stuff. It's exquisite. It's very good.
Is it better than Hershey's?
Actually, it's pretty good. It's very good. Above average. Well above average.
Mr. Beast's not paying him to say that. While you're finishing up your little Feastables bar, what are you working on right now?
Celebration meal. What am I working on now? So we got a hold of 3 relays tonight to test the light strip, and I'm going to measure the current, total current that we expect to see coming out of the power supply that they're supplying. But I'm going to use 2 lights at once, which makes the equivalent of 2 light strips.
That's
so
smart.
3, then I got 3 light strips. So,
That's engineering at work.
That's it. I'm going to measure it.
When we measured the current, we found a couple things, like the current was actually different for different colors, like red here using the most. And also, if you wired the light strips in series, connecting one to the end of another one, there was a lot of voltage drop, and the lights were definitely dimmer, like in the top one here. Also, have you ever looked closely at one of these RGBW LEDs? It's cool to see the individual LEDs lit up inside these tiny little LED lenses. All right, so we're back at the hotel. We got some McDonald's. There's actually a lot of better restaurants around here, but a lot of things close at 9, and it was like 8:50 when we left. So Dad and I made a makeshift little hotel table.
Yep.
And he's sitting on a little stool, and I'm sitting on a chair, and got a little bit of coding to do tonight. And tomorrow morning we're gonna go in and see how much we can catch up. It seems like they're a day or two behind on the schedule of setting things up.
Here we go. There it is.
Is that 2 of them?
Yep, that's 2 colors. That's green and red. So you got green and red, and we're getting 2.3 amps.
Can you tell me the things that you're measuring this morning on these lights?
Measuring the 24 volt output, measuring the voltage and the voltage drop through 3 lengths of the cable. So I can measure the voltage drop at the end and in between. And then I'm measuring the current. I break it in here and I measure the current of each color and of 3 colors or whatever to try to make sure our calculations match what the specs said. And so our concern was if we overload the wire we're using, too much current equals heat equals not good. So that's kind of the whole deal.
Yeah, and usually that's a cumulative problem. So if this were 6 hours, not a big deal.
Right.
But if this is a week,
yes,
and it's on the whole time,
yes,
that could be a problem.
That's the whole time.
Jimmy mentioned, sometimes I get sparks when I'm testing the thing.
Yes. Yeah, just a warning, that can happen if you leave your ammeter in the amp mode and then you try to measure voltage, it will spark. Now, luckily on these, I happen to know personally that they will shut down, but then they'll recover the circuits inside and will give you power back.
So the screen behind you, Dad, it's very big, and I heard it's 4K, 120 hertz.
Yes.
Did you have any thoughts on that? You took a tour of it yesterday.
Yes, I did. I was negotiating, and it turns out like this one's a rental only, but eventually it'll be for sale. and they're still very expensive. More, and I'd have to build a new house or add on to my house to have a tall enough room. So it's probably not a home thing for most of us, but it's very cool.
So I noticed you brought this. Is that going to come in handy?
Yeah. I told Mom it's for work, you know, but in reality it makes your like 32-inch TV look huge. It's really great. No, I actually use this when you have parts like this that are tiny and you're going to slip the wire in so far and make the crimp right. It's a lot easier to see it about right here and do that final.
Seriously, we should have bought one of these for everybody on the team too.
I should have bought 6 of these to go in 6 carts or 6
wear those
kits.
all day. Each of these is supposed to have 4 of these, 2 of another wire, and then some other connections. We're missing some of that, waiting for USPS. Chuck is here today. He brought the switches, so we're going to get networking set up. It's, I think I said on day 1 of this thing that, you know, we're going to get to the end and it's going to be down to the wire. And it literally is down to the wire right now.
That's
so
a lot of wire.
We'll see how far we get. It's ironic I'm wearing a pie shirt, but we have 110 potatoes behind me. So, you know, we'll see. This is a real production test of these potatoes. If all 100 of them are running at the end of this week, then I think that'll be a success. They're still not very fun compared to the pie to work with. There's a lot of fighting the OS. We're on day 2 of you being here, and you're gonna leave.
Yes, I'm leaving.
So
2 days is enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's we were imagining the rooms would be finished when you came, but you got something in your hands.
Yes, I got a button that the people will be hitting at these booths, and we're gonna have 3 buttons a booth, right? So we're building a test jig here, trying to get that first booth done so we know we can duplicate it many times. How many times?
100 times.
100 times.
Yeah. Then when you scale up to 100, it's a lot more than just like 2 or 3.
I'm leaving today. Did I tell you that?
And you're leaving. So going way back to when we started working on this project, I had mentioned my idea of having a Raspberry Pi, or in this case potato, inside of each room. What was your original idea?
I would have avoided putting 100 computers anywhere, right? Typically that would be what I would avoid. So I would be putting the buttons in and knowing how far the buttons had to go. Maybe I'd buck that voltage. It wouldn't be 5 volts, maybe it'd be 24 volts on every button. And they would hit it and I would see it back here, and I would have one machine that would gather all the information. That would be great, except then I couldn't send any stuff back to the booth without another wire and another set of things and another voltage and another smart piece of my box. So it's actually brilliant looking that you put a Pi up there or a potato and it's going to handle all the stuff, and then the fast Ethernet signaling will go back between, and you can debounce the buttons, which people don't think about, but when you press a metal button and it scrapes along the metal to make the closure, when you have a fast enough thing watching it, it looks like 5, 6, 12, 15 hits, and you can ignore that after the first one in software. Now the biggest surprise though is the massive amount of effort going into a one-off. I mean, this is a one-off event. I don't know how long it's going to last, but this is a massive effort, and they're doing a lot of things that because it's temporary, and then a lot of things that you would do if it was permanent.
In just about an hour, you're going to be leaving. Any advice for me getting into the lead up to the actual event?
Take your alarm on for like every 3 to 5 hours, go eat something, go to the bathroom, come back here, and pretty soon it'll be like Tuesday night.
Have you ever had a deadline build similar to this in terms of cabling?
I don't think there is as much cabling in the deadline. Complexity, yes, but not nearly the amount of cabling and signaling and testing, and hopefully the way it works out is going to be great for the contestants, because that's really what this one's all about. So I'm going to test this, see how long the cable is from the booth that's farthest away from the rack of gear where it's all going to be connected.
And we got freshly painted number 1.
Yeah.
There will have to be a 0 right there.
Yep. So there's your distance. All you network guys know that is way long for a Ethernet cable, but we're going to test it out and see what happens. So just now I terminated the room that is farthest away from our internet, from our server connection, really, so that can be the first stuff tested, because you can see it's going to be a while before they have the other stuff in there. So we'll be testing the longest run shortly because of the connection.
Well, today was an adventure. It's Friday. A week ago, my plan on Friday, which is today, by the end of today, was to have all of the rooms set up. The little bays that we're supposed to put our little potatoes inside of are full of sawdust right now. It's not emergency mode, but we're in crunch mode at this point. My dad did help us quite a bit today making sure that the current was not going to be a problem, so he measured that. We made sure that there wasn't too much voltage drop across one or two strings. I mean, we see the end point and we see where we are, and it feels like the end point is a very far way off right now. Well, I met Network Chuck today. You know, unlike another time when we're not deep into all this stuff, I'm still working on code right now. Time code, so my brain is fried. We're gonna stop right there and get some sleep. That was Friday night. After overcoming setback after setback, we finally started filming. The whole thing was insane, and I'm working on a video covering everything on my main channel. Someday I'll post that video. So subscribe to my Geerling channel for the whole story, and hey, while you're down there, subscribe to Geerling Engineering.